going on, everyone? Welcome to episode 118 here on the Proven Knowledge Podcast. This is the Creators Series. Today we had another part 2 episode, and I welcome back from episode 10, Yelena Rodriguez out of Boston, Massachusetts. She's a singer-songwriter. We talked about her new single called Rumba and the video and the story behind that. This was actually her first music video she's dropped, and she talked about working closely with the director and her team to kind of get that full story out there in the way that she envisioned, and she said she's going to definitely be working with them again in the future on different songs. So I think that was a great thing, and obviously the story behind the song is very personal. She's going to eventually have that lead into an EP that she's working on. Not sure when that's going to be out, but I'm definitely looking forward to that. You'll hear her explain the stories behind that and what she's went through in the last year and change that's kind of going to be channeled into that whole thing. Overall, we just talked about as well, kind of just finding your purpose as an artist, and really just sticking with it, and dealing with your own mental health and making sure that you're okay to be able to present your art to the world, because a lot of us skip that step in the process, and we tend to push ourselves a little too hard, to be a little too hard on ourselves. I think it's important to kind of reel it back sometimes and make sure that you're okay, so you can really be the best you can be, not only as an artist but as a person every single day. And I really commend Yelena for bringing up the issues of mental health, especially with creatives, because we all need that reminder from time to time. And I'm just looking forward to everything she has coming up. So without further ado, let's get into it. All right, welcome everyone to episode 118 here on the Proven Knowledge Podcast. This is the Creators Series, and today we welcome back another part 2 episode, a guest that was on episode 10 actually, back in July of 2020, out of Boston. Yelena Rodriguez is back. Welcome back, Yelena.
Yeah, thank you for having me. I'm so happy to be back on this, on your podcast. I know a lot has happened since 2020, so this is, I'm happy to be back.
Mm-hmm.
So thank you.
Glad to have you back, and I'm looking forward to recapping some of this stuff. For those that might not have heard that first episode, though, just give another brief introduction, who you are, how you got into music, just in case they never heard that one and they need to know who you are.
Yeah, so my name is Yelena. I am a Latin R&B soul artist. I am based in Boston, Mass. I come from a Cuban Dominican background. I pretty much have been doing music since 2019. And since then, I'm continuously working, and yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and it's crazy because I even looked at the date today, because I went back on that episode, and I think it said like July 27th of 2020. So it's like almost two years to the day and everything. I mean, we might have recorded before that, because I remember I'm usually a few weeks ahead on the recording cycle, but I'm like, yeah, it's perfect timing and everything. And I obviously know that you've been working on a lot of cool stuff that we're going to get into on this episode. Firstly, I want to know, though, in the last 2 years, obviously, when we first talked, the pandemic was a real thing. A lot of things were closed down. A lot of that has kind of changed. So I don't know, in Boston, in that area, what that has been like for you. But what do you think has been the whole scan of things, just from an entertainer's perspective in the city? Has a lot of things opened back up? Have you had more opportunities lately? How's that been going?
Yeah, no. So a lot of things have opened back up. I definitely would say a lot of opportunities have been coming my way and stuff, for the most part. And I, at the time when the pandemic was, still a thing, there weren't a lot of shows, there weren't a lot of events going on and stuff like that. And, and for me, I felt like it wasn't hindering me in any sort of way, but I know a lot of people are like, oh, we want things to open back up. We want, to see people. We want live shows. So, I've definitely been getting a lot of shows ever since everything has backed up. In Boston, everything's pretty much open. But it's so far it's been really good. I've had a lot of shows, and there's still more shows to come. So, things are kind of, getting right back on track in a sense. So.
Yeah, because it was obviously a very different time, and a lot of people didn't know where the whole live entertainment thing was going to go, because everything was so uncertain. And I know bigger cities got affected a lot more by it as well. So that's great to hear. Did you have a show that got like canceled last night or something? I think I saw that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I ended up, I actually ended up, I was supposed to have an interview yesterday
Hmm.
that got canceled. And then I had a show that I was supposed to do, I forget the date, but it was actually this month, on July 16th, that I got postponed.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, no, that was just an interview that I
Okay.
was going to do that ended up getting rescheduled.
Yeah, because I think I saw it like early this morning, and I didn't know if it said like a live show or something, and it got like moved to
Oh, yeah,
Wednesday.
no,
I'm
no, no.
like, oh, okay. But yeah, that's definitely great to hear, though, and even the interviews, it's great to hear you're getting those opportunities as well, and different
Yeah.
things. So that's super awesome, especially to go with the new single and everything. I do want to know like what has really been keeping you inspired as far as like your songwriting goes the last couple of years, especially this year so far. I don't know how many songs you've been writing this year overall. Like, what have you been up to as far as just creating new tracks?
Yeah, I mean, I would say it's kind of a mix of everything. Like, sometimes I really feel like I'm not writing as much. Honestly, I feel like, I'm always writing. Like right now, I am working on my EP, which is like the biggest project that I've ever done. Like it's my first EP that I'm working on, and I'm really excited about it. I'm really hoping to at least release it before the end of this year. Um, I just recently released a new track called Rumba, so that was a song that I was working on as well too this year. And then I'm still working on other songs and stuff. Most of them is for the EP. Others are just singles that I'm going to end up, just releasing. But and then I also released my first music video, which was the biggest thing that I wanted to accomplish for this year. And this is something that I've always wanted to accomplish since 2020.
Mm-hmm.
Before the pandemic happened. So yeah, and shows too. Like I said, I've been performing a good amount, I would say. So I've been busy with that. But writing wise, I try my best to stay on top of writing. I really try to write as much as I can, like I would say every day. But it's kind of hard when you're an artist who you still have to kind of work a 9 to 5, right? So
Mm-hmm.
you kind of have to make time for your dream while you have a regular job that's paying for your
Mm-hmm.
dreams, right? In a sense. So, but I would say I've written a good amount, just still working on new projects and stuff like that because there's a lot of ideas that keep coming to me each and every day.
Mm-hmm.
So.
I think that brings up another good question about kind of balancing things out as well and keeping a schedule. I don't know if I forget if I even asked you that in the first episode, but I think it's good to kind of remind people as well. So for you, like, how do you really balance those things out between a personal life and performing and working and recording? Like, how, at
Yeah.
least for now, is it for you to be able to do that and keep it all like together and kind of keep your sanity as well? Because a lot of people get overwhelmed with that type of thing.
Yeah. Honestly, it's hard. It's really hard. Everyone's different, but me, I'm the type of person where it's hard for me to balance with a lot of things. Luckily for me, I ended up, recently I started 2 work from home jobs. One I started back in May of this year, and another one was recently. And, I did that because, I just found that, okay, if I'm working from home, I'm still able to work on my stuff for music, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like I can send emails out, I can be on my phone, my boss won't get mad at me. But I still try to find a balance on how to focus on my work and focus on what I have to do for my music, right? And for me, sometimes it can be hard because in my mind, I'm constantly thinking of all the things that I have to do, like, oh, I have to message this person. I have to make sure that I'm promoting my music. I have to make sure I'm emailing this person. I have to make sure I'm doing this and that, so it can be a lot. It can be a lot, especially when you're someone who's still doing everything on your own. It's hard, right?
Mm-hmm.
And right now for me, I do have someone that's managing me. She's a friend of mine, but for me, it's still kind of not enough because I need a team in a sense right now.
Mm-hmm.
And I know my team is going to come. And I would say, with other friends that I have that are in the music scene or that I worked, they are kind of like my team, right? Like the videographer who did my music video, his name is Chris. He's great. He's amazing. He was introduced to me by my friend who I did a music with. His name is Skip. He's an artist himself. He goes by Skip to Dip. And, they're kind of like my team. So, like, but either way, everything else that I have to do, I still have to stay on top of it. And that's why sometimes for me, I think about finding an assistant, and
Mm-hmm.
And hopefully I can one day, because that's something I really would like to, have. But it can be hard, and I think that's where when things are becoming hard to balance, and you're trying to stay on top of everything, that's where kind of the doubts come in, right?
Hmm.
And that's where you're kind of questioning yourself, like, can I really do this? Like, by myself? Like, is this gonna work? Like, those doubts sometimes kind of creep up,
Hmm.
here and there. So.
Yeah, especially with the whole job thing. I actually just saw someone that I work with closely on music. He lives in New York. He's an R&B singer, and he put up on his
Okay.
story today about how like he's kind of fed up with the 9 to 5 thing. He's like, I just want to do music. Like I don't
Yeah.
even want to do this anymore. I don't have passion for this. I was gonna message him and just be like, "Yo, man, just keep your head up, do this, this." I didn't end up doing it, but I was like, I probably should have. I might even text him later and just be like, "What you're doing's good, man. Like I see you putting in all this work and just doing what it is you need to do,
Yeah.
even through having to go to a 9 to 5, and just like, I think you just gotta appreciate like the steps too, because like you said, you're like, I'm gonna get that team eventually. It's like you're working toward that every day, and just taking it one day at a time. It's good though to have like the 9 to 5 bosses that are like, yeah, I'll let you do this. Like, just make sure your work's done. You know what I mean? Because
Right.
like I have that too at my summer job. I can be like, I'm gonna go in the back room and like do my posts today and email all my people, and then go back out and like actually do the job. You know what I mean? So it's like, and my boss is cool with that. But like,
That's great.
obviously, every job like is different, and some bosses are more understanding than others too. Like if you have a boss that's like super strict, they might not understand like that you're an artist
Yeah.
and you're trying to pursue this and you're passionate about it. So it's kind of like circumstantial and everything, but I think that's great that you're kind of figuring out how to do it. And I know it's definitely difficult to, like you said, when you're doing everything kind of on your own and just figuring it out, but just taking that time with it, it'll all work out in the end. So I think that's
Right.
starting to pay off for you as we speak, just with the new song and everything. And we can dive into that now because obviously, like you said, Rumba just came out this past week. So what's the story behind this song? Like how did this song come together? Who helped
Yeah.
with it? All that good stuff.
Yeah. So Rumba is a single that was released this past Friday. I did a music video for it, which came out yesterday. And again, it's my first ever music video that I ever did. And you can find everything, on my social media, Yelena R Music. The link is there for the single and for the music video, which is on YouTube. But the way that the song came about, I'll say that first, was so the song pretty much has to do with certain things I dealt with last year. The background about the song, or the story behind it is, I'm pretty much comparing this toxic relationship that I was in to this dance, which is Rumba. If you're familiar, Rumba is like a Spanish dance, right? And so the reason why I compared the relationship to this type of dance is because in toxic relationships, there's always a lot of back and forth, right? And it's obviously never positive, right?
Hmm.
And so in the song, I'm pretty much talking about how this person that I had this toxic relationship with all of a sudden came back and is like asking about me because they miss certain things about me and they're wanting for me to come back to them, but they're just trying to do this back and forth again like they did before.
Hmm.
And there's a lot of symbolism, I would say, like in the song, in a sense, where I'm kind of comparing how I was their light and they were my darkness, right? And how, you know, how I felt like they pretty much almost dragged me into hell because how bad the relationship
Hmm.
was, and this story is relatable to what I dealt with last year when I was kind of in a similar situation with someone where it was very toxic and it wasn't really such a good
Hmm.
experience. And that's pretty much how the song came about. And the title of it, forget how I thought of it, but I guess in the moment I was just thinking about like, I was writing everything obviously in Spanish, the lyrics, and it's just thinking about like dances, and then that's when I thought about like, oh, like why not call this Rumba, So
Hmm.
yeah, and then the people that I worked on with. So as an engineer, I worked with engineer named Brad. I've been working with him for a while. He was really cool. and the beat itself, the producer, was a beat that I actually found on YouTube by this producer named Den's Beats, who pretty much creates, he creates pretty good beats. So, yeah.
Nice. Now, I haven't seen the video yet because I know it just premiered, I think, yesterday. So what is kind of going
Yeah.
on in the video? Because I haven't seen it. So give me a little lowdown as far as like how you kind of paired
Yeah.
that story with visuals.
Yeah, so the story with the music video, so in the video, the story behind it is that I show up to a restaurant. So the person who's trying to take me back, right, this person that I was in tough relationships with, they come back, and I'm pretty much heading to the restaurant because we're supposed to have a date, right, to talk about everything after a long time. In the video, it shows that when I got there, the person didn't show up. And then you see in the video that the person leaves me a letter. I'm reading it out loud. They end up leaving me a ring and roses. And then that's when the video starts. And in the video, there's certain scenes in me. So where I shot the music video was at this restaurant in Revere Beach in Mass, right? In Revere, Mass. And it's in the theater right across from the beach. So because of that, we had certain scenes where I was in the beach, in the waters, and that reason was to kind of create like certain like symbolisms about like letting go and stuff like that. And in the restaurant scene where I was, there's a scene of me like singing on the stage, which is my future self. So the restaurant scene itself, when I walk in and I sit down and I know this person's not coming, that's like the past self, right? Just and then it cuts in different scenes where it's showing the future self, me singing on the stage, and then me out at the beach. And then towards the end is when you kind of see like my past self leaving the restaurant, seeing like how my past self reacted to this person not showing up. And then my future self towards the end sits, right across from my past self, kind of like, being like, oh, like, like, I'm proud of you type of thing. Like, you're going to be okay. Obviously I don't say anything, but yeah, so there's certain symbolisms in the video itself, but, I'm really glad that it came out really good, and people so far are liking it. So we'll see how it goes and stuff like that, with the views and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I saw you had like a little party too last night to kind of show people the video.
Yeah,
and
I
like,
did.
what was that like seeing their reactions to it like in real time?
It was great. I mean, I don't know. I'm very hard on myself, so like. I kept asking everyone, and these were just like close friends of mine. Like this was something very small that I had, and of course it was very last minute. But I didn't mind. It was like a few people, but everyone loved it. Everyone was like, "Oh my god!" Like that gave me like goosebumps. And me, I was just like, "Oh, did you really like it? Like, are you sure?" Like, and I don't know if that's me just being hard on myself, but everyone like gave really good reactions. Everyone really liked it. They were like some people I saw were kind of like shocked, but overall they really enjoyed watching the video, and they really liked the song too.
Do you think that has more to do with the fact that it is like your first music video and you're trying to just make sure that like it kind of went the way you envisioned and you kind of want to see what people's reactions are? Do you think like over time when you do more videos, it might be a little better? Like you might not be as hard on yourself as far as like when you're putting them out there to people?
Yeah, I hope so, honestly, because when it comes to music videos, I love music videos in general. I love when other artists create creative music videos, right? When there's a story behind it, right? And that's what I would like to do for all the other music videos that I make, that I create in the future, right? And so my hope is that as I continue to obviously put more music out, but as I continue to create more music videos, that people still continue to like them. People feel some sort of sensation when they're watching the music video, right? Like they feel something. And especially because most of the songs that I'm going to be coming out with are going to be in Spanish. So some of the people that are maybe watching the video or may not be listening may not understand the language, So, my hope is that overall, like, that all the other music videos that I watched, and even the music video that came out now, that everyone just, just feels like they just feel like they're not just watching some normal video, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like they feel like they're just like they're watching actually something bigger than what is right in front of them.
Mm-hmm. I like that too. I never really thought of that though, because if, like you said, if they can't understand the Spanish as well, they can see the video and kind of understand the story behind it just by seeing the video.
Yeah.
They might not necessarily be able to understand the words, but they get the feeling behind it and get the overall meaning for it. How long did that take, like, to film too? Was that several months? Was that from like the beginning of the year until like now, like second half of the year?
No, so we started filming that video probably, I think it was in June. Yeah, around June. And it took a whole entire day. So it was like from early afternoon to like evening time. And then it took the videographer about a few weeks to edit it.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah.
How do you feel about the crew then? Do you think you're gonna work with them again? Probably.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
of course. They're like my friends. Like we work so well together. Me and the videographer. He's very, very good at what he does. Like he works with other artists, and he also does like videography for like concerts and stuff like that for other artists. So no, he's great. I feel like me and him really understood each other. He understood my vision, which I really liked because every time that he would show me what he would do, I'd be like, oh, can you do this? Can you do that? Or I was thinking maybe add this, and he made everything he made my vision come alive. Mm-hmm. which was awesome, and it made me feel very happy because this being my first music video, I was so nervous, and mm-hmm. I'm still learning how to do everything when it comes to the marketing, when it comes to, putting stuff on YouTube and the logistics of behind, like what do you have to do to get more views, all that kind of stuff. I'm all new to this, right? I'm still learning. So this being my first music video, I really, really wanted to do everything, in a good, I wanted to do everything at a good pace, and I wanted to just make sure everything came out good so that, at least like I would be getting something out of it, mm-hmm. in a sense, So, but yeah.
Yeah. In a way, I never thought of this either, but in a way, when you do your first music video, it's almost like your first song again, because you're kind of having to leave that first impression. And obviously, we're kind of in the era of like TikTok, Instagram, things like that. So if you put visuals to the music, people are going to notice the visuals first and then be like, whoa, let me check out the song now because I like the visuals and everything. So, yeah, I definitely think it's good to have like a crew of people that you can look to in the future now. And, every time you present them with new ideas, they can kind of help you, walk you through it and kind of make it a reality. You know what I mean? Because that takes, like you said, it's a process. Everything's a process and it takes a lot of time. And but congratulations on that. That's a big like milestone and everything. I'm gonna have to check the video out either tonight or tomorrow when I have time, because I saw you preview it and everything, and I think that's just a great thing to have for sure. So I know you said that you're working on an EP right now. So what do you think you can reveal about that? Is there like a tentative date or anything? Do you have, how many songs are we looking at? Like, what can you give us, kind of like a sneak peek?
Mm-hmm. So as of right now, the music video, I'm sorry, not the music video, the EP is most likely going to have about 4 to 5 songs as of right now. Again, I'm still working on it, but that's what I'm aiming for. This EP, or what I can tell you, this EP also is going to talk a lot about what I dealt with last year. I think last year for me as a person and as an artist, but also we'll say as a person, there was so much that I learned, right? Mm-hmm. A lot of stuff was happening, and I was also kind of going through this journey, like, spiritually, but also this journey of like figuring out like who I am as a person. But also on top of that, I was, learning about relationships, right? What does a healthy relationship look like? What is love? What does it mean when someone loves you? Or like, what are the, examples of it, right? Or how can you tell? And that's when I also started learning about what toxic relationships are, and recognizing manipulation, gaslighting, all this kind of stuff that a lot of people deal with, right? And a lot of people may talk about it, And some of these things we kind of talk about it in like music too. It's like nowadays, it's like okay to be toxic or whatever, or with R&B right now, it's like these R&B artists, especially the male artists now, like Giveon or Division, are like you know, the way they're expressing love is not the way that we normally talk about love. Like, they kind of talk about, like, you know, being in a situationship or being toxic or feeling like too scared to be in love and stuff like that, right? And so that was a lot of the stuff that I kind of dealt with last year, relationship-wise, and other stuff too on top of that. And so with this EP, I really want to showcase, you know, and express myself on what I dealt with last year and on what I'm still dealing with this year, right? Because honestly, for me, ever since last year, I've been dealing with a lot of things mental health-wise, and, you know, it's never easy, right? And everything that I'm dealing with, I just want to put it onto the EP, you know, and try my best to kind of explain, like, you know, what I was dealing with, especially, you know, involving someone else. And so in the EP, I don't have a title for it. I'm still trying to figure out what I'm going to title it, honestly. That's the other thing I've been thinking about a lot, and I'm still thinking about how I'm going to go about doing the visuals as well, too, because I really would like to do visuals for this project. And, and I, you know, this EP overall is going to be talking about, you know, love and, you know, a specific relationship that I was in and how I felt in it. And I'm going to try my best to kind of go in depth about really what was going on and stuff, but also try to make sure it's relatable to other people when they're listening to it too, right?
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah. Sounds like Rumba was kind of like the perfect kickoff for that whole thing then, to kind of get it going and get people prepared for like what the project's actually going to be. So I'm definitely looking forward to that whenever it does come out. I know that obviously you just mentioned like keeping, you know, watch over your mental health and everything. And I know like you have always advocated for that. Even on the first episode, you talked a lot about the importance of that. Do you think you'd ever look to do something maybe for musicians or other people maybe in the area as far as like looking out for creatives' mental health? Because obviously we talked about in the beginning, it's like we're all overwhelmed with a lot of stuff as creatives because there's a lot of different things happening. So would you look for, you know, maybe to do a program or some type of like teaching thing eventually regarding that? Like, because I've always respected that you always bring that up. And like you always are aware of that and how important that is to yourself, not only yourself, but a lot of other people as well.
Yeah, honestly, I've thought about doing certain workshops and stuff for people, right? Or to talk about people, certain things, or even try to figure out how to talk about it on social media, right? I know sometimes people lately have been making reels, TikTok videos. I've been trying to involve myself more on TikTok. So on TikTok, I just kind of just like make videos of like affirmations that you can say to yourself that relate to what you may be dealing with mental health wise, right? But yeah, I definitely would like to have that conversation with people, especially with other artists too, because it's really hard to balance certain things, right? And that's why sometimes, like, on a grand scale of things, you know, for me as an artist, I see myself as becoming an international performing artist, like, you know, one day, you know, being famous, whatever, and, you know, everyone's going to know who I am. And when you're at that level, sometimes people don't see you as a person, and people don't realize, like, at the end of the day, like, people that we admire or that we listen to, like Drake, Rihanna, Justin Bieber, and I'll name Justin Bieber because Justin Bieber was one person that was dealing with a lot of mental health stuff. And people sometimes forget, like, that, yeah, even though you had tons of money or you may be living in this grand house or doing all these amazing things, you're still a human being. You still probably have trauma that you dealt with, that you have never dealt with, that happened to you years ago, and no one knows about it until all of a sudden something happens, right? So I definitely would like to talk to people more about it, because as an artist or even as a person, if you're going after something for yourself, sometimes it can be hard when you're dealing with stuff internally, right? And I'm the type of person that overthinks a lot. I like to please people a lot, and that's something I'm working on right now, you know, this year, is to be okay with being selfish, you know, but in a good way, right? And I really would like to have that conversation with others, and because I know others are dealing with that, and they may not be telling anyone, but I know that this is something that a lot of us deal with, and it's at different levels and different situations, but I definitely would like to have a conversation, because sometimes when it comes to what we're dealing with mental health wise, it can affect our personal lives,
Mm-hmm.
and even our careers. And for me, that would be my biggest thing that sometimes worries me is, whatever I'm dealing with, it affecting my music career, because I feel like I can't write or I can't sing, or it starts to make me even have more doubts or negative thoughts, and it makes me not want to continue anymore, which I don't think that would ever happen, but that's something that crosses my mind,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Yeah.
So yeah.
It's like those constant ups and downs too, and like you already have them in life regardless, but then when you throw in, trying to pursue something like being an artist, it's like that just added even more weight on your shoulders. So it's like you said, I think everybody deals with it from time to time. But if you ever have like anything that you get going and you need me to support in any way, let me know. I'd be happy to, because like I said, I admire that you definitely are aware of those instances and everything, and call light to that. Because like you said, it's something that people need to be more comfortable talking about. Because I think everybody knows that it's there. You know what I mean? It's just how do you feel about discussing it and kind of putting your feelings out there and things like that. So I definitely think that's very important. So last few questions here. The first one is regarding the first episode we did. Toward the end of the episode, I asked you, where did you want to be in 10 years? And you said you kind of wanted to be where Selena, would have been, which is doing music at a very high level, doing everything art at a very high level. So do you think that is still your overall goal, 2 years into this journey since the last time we talked? Is that still the goal for you, you think?
Yeah, that is still the goal for me. The biggest thing now is just that I really would want to push myself to become an international performing artist, in that sense of just doing music that, eventually I would like to connect with other artists in other parts of the world. And, I've recently been, since last year, I've been being shown different music from other types of the world, different languages, and I really would want to work with some of those artists that I know, and do music with them, just so that I can have, I would really like overall just to have a fan base worldwide. I would want people to hear my music worldwide, and I feel like, despite that, yeah, what I said before is what I'm still aiming for, because I really would, and I know that someday, even though I have doubts here and there, but I know strongly that someday I'm gonna, get to that higher level where Selena should have gone to, right?
Yeah.
Or done the crossover as well too. And now I also realize that for me, I see myself more as a Latin artist, but in my own sort of kind of genre, which is why I say I'm a Latin R&B soul artist. So, and I'm still gonna make music in English, but of course I'm still gonna, I'm gonna still stick to my roots and stick to singing music in Spanish, but also kind of do a little bit of both, and then kind of go from there.
Yeah, it kind of goes back to the whole just one day at a time mentality, and just seeing where it goes over time and just kind of sticking with it. So definitely think that's incredible that you're still doing it. So do you have any final words of wisdom for the listeners today?
Yeah, I would say the biggest thing is no matter what happens, no matter how you're feeling, especially on the bad days that you may have, keep going. If in your heart you feel like you have a purpose, and your doubts and your fears and the naysayers are kind of trying to stop you, just keep going. If you're still trying to figure out what you want to do in life, but you're having all these doubts and you feel like you're not meant to be here, or there's really not much for you, just keep going, because I strongly believe that we were all brought in this world for a reason, right? And I know not all of us are gonna become famous, or all of us are gonna be successful, unfortunately, but I just feel like at the end of the day, success, it just depends on what success looks like for you, right? There's women who success for them, certain women, success for them is becoming a mother someday or being a wife. And then there's others, or just people in general, where success to them means, you know, one day buying a house or one day owning their own business, you know, whatever it is. But no matter what goal you have in mind or you're still trying to figure it out, just keep going, because you don't want to one day just sit back and you're like, I don't know, like let's say 20 years later, you're sitting back and you're like, why did I give up? You know? And that would be the biggest, that would be something I wouldn't want to happen. So I would just say, keep going, believe in yourself at all times, and just know you're the number one person that you have to prioritize over everything else.
Yeah. Love that. Yelena, thank you so much for joining me once again. I appreciate it so much. Congrats on the new song, the new video. Looking forward to the new EP and everything else you got going. And we'll connect again soon. I'm very sure of that.
Of course. Yeah, of course. Thank you so much. I appreciate this.
Thanks, guys, for listening today. That was episode 118. We'll be back this time next week. As always, hit the support button on your podcast streaming platform if you'd like to send any funds. And feel free to leave us that 5-star rating if you enjoyed today's episode. So we'll see you then. Thanks, everyone.